In the finance group, one of the things that we needed to learn and understand was risk and risk aversion. So you might be wondering, what is risk? Well, risk is the uncertainty associated with any investment that's made. So, in other words, risk is the possibility that the actual return on an investment will be different from its expected return. And these stocks that you're investing in will fluctuate. So, because of that, some people are risk averse. And risk aversion is simply the preference of lower returns on an investment that's made with known risks rather than higher returns on an investment made with unknown risks. So, because investors are generally risk averse, investments with greater risk promise to yield higher yield. One thing that's helpful when making investments and evaluating risk is quantifying the returns and the risk. So, this just means evaluating the risks and developing data that will be needed for making decisions concerning how to proceed with the investment.
So I'm talking about the decision of dropping or picking our 5 stocks and what really went into it. And so the main thing that our decision was based on is the Sharpe ratio. And to calculate the Sharpe ratio, it's the risk premium over your portfolio risk. So the way your risk premium, the way you calculate that is simply just your portfolio minus the rate you're borrowing, such as, for example, we used the Ginnie Mae example in class. The way your portfolio risk is just simply your risk of each stock you invested in, and then weighted depending on how much you've invested in each stock. So our goal is to try and get the best portfolio, the best rate for return from investment as possible, or the more bang for your buck, which is calculated by the Sharpe ratio. And overall, our goal is to try and beat the market, which in this case was the S&P 500, which only normally 2% of financial managers can achieve. And so that was really what went into us deciding on our 5 stocks.
Hi, my name is Sam Barber, and I'm going to be talking to you about how to choose your best portfolio. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a large source of data. And now from this data, you're going to want to break down the returns per month. Now, the average rate return is the first thing that you're going to want to look for. And you can calculate that based per month, and then from there you can get the average risk by the standard deviation. Once you have that percentage, you can actually calculate your Sharpe ratio, and from there is where you really determine what makes a good portfolio. Now, the S&P 500 is basically what we're judging what makes a good portfolio. Less than 3% of investors continually beat the S&P 500. It's a very rare occasion to have a portfolio that actually beats the S&P 500. But if you look at the Sharpe ratios, you can actually predict long-term, potentially, if you'll beat the S&P 500. Now, there are 3 things that we've really talked about today. The average rate of return, which once again is calculated by taking that data set and interpreting it so you can see per month what your average return is going to be. And then finding that risk ratio, which is really important for calculating your Sharpe ratio. So overall today, like, the best portfolio for you is going to be the S&P 500, which has an average Sharpe ratio of about 0.4 based on today's market. So if you can continually beat that percentage for more than like 10, 20, even 30 years, then that's impressive, because less than 3% of people can do that. Thank you for listening today. Once again, my name is Sam Barber. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Eric Kaplis, and I'm going to be talking to you about how we become prudent investors. So basically, whenever you start your fund, you got to look at a couple things. 1, how am I going to get my money? And 2, what am I going to do with it? Now, first, where does the money come from? Most people are not wealthy enough to just go start their own investments. They have to gather up a bunch of investors and have a group portfolio, or in some cases, they can find one extremely wealthy investor, but they tend to stay towards the former. Now, once you have your money, let's assume you have $1 million to work with. It's not a bad start, but you can definitely grow it. I want to use the example of a snowball. Whenever you have a snowball and you're pushing it down a hill, it grows collectively because it collects more snow. In the financial marketplace, your snowball is your fund, and your ideal market would be one where you throw it around and you ride the waves of the better markets. So if Amazon performs at 4% quarterly or 4% monthly, you're throwing your funds into that and allowing it to grow. And then you can ride the rides with Netflix, or you can ride them with Disney. Whatever blue chips are working at the time, you're ideally riding the wave. once you help it grow like that, it kind of just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Your 2% gains on $1 million are peanuts compared to your 2% gains on $500 million.